Welcome to the ACC on ESPN across the Ohio River to downtown Louisville and right along the Ohio. It is the KFC Yum Center, of course, the site of this year's NCAA championship match today. It's a showdown between two teams that want to play here in December and could likely play here in December. It's a top 5 matchup. Stanford, number 3, Louisville, number 5. You take a look at the ABCA top 10. It is top heavy with ACC teams. Number 1, Pittsburgh, now 12-0 after a win today at Georgia Tech. Nebraska comes before Stanford, Penn State right before Louisville, but 3 of the top 5 teams nationally right now are ACC teams. So we get ready for this conference showdown. When you talk about the Cardinal and the Cardinals, both teams in the mix for national championship. Of course, no one's won more national titles than Stanford, and recently Louisville has been knocking on the door of appearing in the national title match 2 seasons ago in the national semifinals 2 of the last 3 years. So we are ready for a great showdown with Emily Eman. I am Eric Reed. Another Sunday, another top 5 showdown in college volleyball, but a little twist here because this is a conference matchup in the ACC.
This top 5 matchup means more because it's conference play now. This result's going to have an impact on who wins the ACC title down the line. And I know it's over 2 months away, but this result will also have an impact on which teams will likely host through the first 4 rounds of the NCAA tournament. So there's a lot on the line today.
A lot of star power on the court today as well. Let's start with the Stanford team. A lot of offensive firepower. Elia Rubin, certainly their go-to player.
Outside Elia Rubin is an absolute gamer. She does such an incredible job being rangy and explosive on her attack, and she can hit all shots. You can't get comfortable when Rubin's in the backcourt because they'll get her going back there too. It's not just her attacking. She's an incredible all-around player, solid blocker, fantastic passer, and one of the most fierce competitors that Stanford has. Rubin will be going up against Louisville's outsides Anna DeBeer and Charity Looper, one of the best outside duos in the entire country. These two will get a majority of the sets, and you see Looper leading the team in kills. DeBeer, ACC Co-Player of the Year last season. The biggest key for the Cardinals is slowing down these two tonight.
Cardinals' last match was against Cal Friday, their ACC opener at L&N Arena on campus. First match at L&N this season. The KFC Yum Center has been the home for Louisville as they get set to play here again, playing a total of 7 matches in the regular season here for Danny Busboom Kelly in her 8th season as Louisville's head coach. 19th match featuring top 10 teams and the 5th match featuring ABCA top 5 teams. Of course, 1 week ago it was Louisville against Nebraska. Nebraska very impressive in getting the sweep. Stanford coming off a win in their ACC debut at Notre Dame. It went 4 in their first ever ACC match. Kevin Hambley in his 8th season, 9-1 heading into this match here today. Another twist. This is the 7th match against the top 25 team for Stanford, the 7th match against the top 25 team for Louisville. They have played the best because they want to be the best.
This is why we love college volleyball. We're getting so many top 10, top 5 matchups this early in the season. That does not happen in any other sport at any level.
And here we go, the Cardinal to serve to the Cardinals. I will not confuse the two, I promise, as we go along here today. And the first rip is by Charity Looper. Here is Rubin, we'll bump it over. Elena Scott, Ellie Glock sets the middle. Glock setting it back for Reese Robbins. Good defense by a Stanford team that's been trying to find their defense at the net. Rubin goes with a soft attempt. We play on. Long first point, won by Stanford. Rubin with the kill.
Stanford's defense is something to watch, especially in the front court of this matchup. Blocking is not Stanford's strong suit. They're last in the ACC in blocks per set. Already, though, a few good touches to start out.
They had 13 team blocks, Louisville did, against Cal. 13 blocks at Notre Dame for Stanford. So both teams coming off good performances at the net on Friday night. Rubin off the touch, point Stanford.
Stanford's going to have to do that a lot tonight, using the top of the block, going right off the fingertips for the point against a really good blocking team in Louisville. Really smart shot from the outside, Elia Rubin.
Rubin had a team-high 17 kills, hit 325 in the win in South Bend on Friday night. Here's Glock setting it to the middle. Cardinals on their heels a little bit here in the opening minutes, and another point, a swing from the right side by Jordan Harvey, the sophomore from Salt Lake City, who had 5 kills against Notre Dame.
Stanford really wants to establish the right side attack, whether that's Harvey on the right side or a middle running a slide, meaning behind the setter. They really want to get that going against blockers on Louisville's outsides that can struggle.
Great start for Anna Pringle on the service run here. Looper blocked at the net by Stanford. Now Looper off the net, rolls it over. Cami Miner sets it for Harvey. Chance here for Scott. That's off hands, and Louisville has their first point.
Louisville finally with the answer, doing a much better job in transition, meaning within rallies, getting the ball up to the setter, and there's one of your explosive outsides. Number 4 in black, she gets up.
Looper held to just 3 kills in the Cal win, had 26 swings, which was the high on the team. Scott with the serve. Blocked out of play, point Stanford.
Really smart decision from the outside, Rubin, with a big block in front of her. If they're not perfectly formed, she can go off the hands and out of bounds. That's something Stanford's going to have to do a lot tonight against a big block in front of them.
Helena Ogilvy to serve. Block sets it back to Robbins. I think Scott got that with her elbow. Dug out by Miner. Another swing. No touch. Point Louisville. Kevin Hambley's team hit .291 at Notre Dame, held the Irish to .098. Pretty good numbers on the night. This is a very good Stanford team when it comes to the offense. The defense, how do we say, a work in progress?
Yeah, Kevin Hambley told us it's gone from atrocious to kind of just almost getting there. It's definitely an upgrade. They put on a blocking performance last night, 13 in that 4-setter.
That's off of Pringle and a point for Louisville. National championships in 2018 and 2019 for Kevin Hambley. And error for the freshman serving by Elise Cabello. Point for Stanford. Danny Busboom Kelly, 9-2 on the season, 1-0 in the ACC. Service error for Stanford. I think we should be prepared to say the phrase service error for Stanford a few times. They don't mind us saying that, though. They want to be aggressive on the line.
Stanford's mindset back there is to go all out. They actually found that it doesn't make a difference in terms of their point scoring, whether they're serving in or out. They're going to let it rip back there.
On the slide, Francis missed the mark.
Stanford really getting that right side attack going, this time with the middle on a slide, meaning they're running behind the setter. That's something Stanford wants to exploit against less good blockers on Louisville's side out there.
After falling behind 3-0, Louisville's come back to tie it up. Rubin on the reset. Joust at the net. DeBeer fighting for Louisville. Dug out by Scott. And a whistle. Violation on Stanford. Point Louisville, and the Cards have their first lead of this match.
And already we're seeing the defensive intensity really pick up. Both liberos doing a really good job of getting their teams in system. Right here, Stanford getting too aggressive on the block. You can't touch the net.
3-0 run ends on the service error by Looper. Tied up at 6. Danny Busboom Kelly mixing things up in the middle. We see Hannah Sherman come on. She got the start against Cal in the ACC opener. She's out there in the middle now. We did not see Pagran Kong in that conference opener. That one sails long.
Already both sides struggling with service errors to begin. Sometimes that happens, though, in these big matchups. You got the adrenaline flowing. It's hard to keep that ball in.
Just mentioned Sherman, the redshirt sophomore, heads back to serve. You were saying?
Sometimes
Well, everybody
also
needs to go around a serve once. We'll give you one mulligan. I mean, it counts on the scoreboard, but it's interesting because both teams, as we mentioned, they've played a lot of big matches in big environments, but it never feels comfortable. It feels like there's so much on the line in these top 5 showdowns. I'm stalling until someone gets a serve in there, Emily. So
it's getting contagious at this point. Both teams just trading points. Now, look, Louisville's not the greatest passing team in the country, so Stanford doesn't necessarily have to go at it as hard as they think that they do. And on the flip side, Stanford also not the best passing team, so Louisville doesn't have to come after it from the end line.
Ellie Glock back to serve, of course, splitting the setting duties with Cabello. There's the freshman middle, Lizzie Andrew for Stanford. Robbins, that one's long. Louisville's quick to say we want to challenge, and Danny Busboom Kelly's got the challenge card. The team that will know the result before anyone else is likely Stanford, since that happened right in front of the Stanford bench.
Reese Robbins couldn't believe it.
Original decision is Stanford point. Louisville is challenging that it was in.
Dwayne Holden, our R2 today, that's his voice, working with Brian Holmgarn.
This ball initially ruled out of bounds, a question of whether it did flip the line. If any part of that ball touches the line, it's in.
Kevin Hambley is actually one of the line judges on this call.
He's got a good look on that.
Kevin may have even looked down and said, no need to go to replay.
Yeah.
Let's
speed this up. I got it, guys.
Well, we were talking to Kevin in practice last night about ways to keep the pace of play going, and one would be to say, you know what, no one had a better look than me.
After review, the call is reversed. The ball was in.
So, successful challenge for Louisville. Each team with 2 challenges at the start of the match. If you're unsuccessful in the challenge, you lose the challenge. If you're successful, you keep it. We get to a 5th set, each team will get an additional challenge. Glock serving, up by 2. And an ace for Ellie Glock. And Louisville, after falling behind early, has come back to lead by 3.
Coming back and finding a little bit of rhythm on that serve, doing a really nice job sending it from 1 to 5, meaning right back to left back on the other side.
That's a swing from the redshirt freshman from Istanbul, Ipar Kurtz, who's averaging just under 3 kills a set, good for second on the team.
Ipar Kurtz has been so impressive. Just a redshirt freshman, didn't see any action last season. She has been massive as that other outside for Stanford as they've been dealing with some injuries.
9 kills for Kurt at Notre Dame in the 4-setter on Friday night. Glock sends it right side, Kara Cressy, who scrambles back to get to the middle. Cressy was there to help set up the block. DeBeer, that one goes long, point Stanford.
That's a really good swing. Those are the ones hit out that you're okay with. Just barely going out, just a few inches. Good swing from DeBeer going for the back line.
DeBeer has found her game as of late after slumping for a while. Had 8 kills against Cal. She's up to 170 hitting, which is very low for her, someone who hit 245 last year. Cressy has it sent back. Stanford's defense answering.
Stanford's block has been really impressive so far. Not only are they getting stuffed up front, they're finding ways to get positive touches. This was an incredible read from the redshirt freshman, lining up inside that play to shut it down.
(10-10, 11-10). Service error. That's number 4 for the Cardinal. And Anna DeBeer will head back to serve. Minor. Looper missed the mark. DeBeer a moment ago. Now Looper just missing on the swings. And it's a point for Stanford. Well, we welcome those of you who watched the shootout in Gainesville between Brooklyn DeLay and Kennedy Martin. We are in the early going here in this top 5 showdown at the KFC Young Center. Louisville in the black, Stanford in the white. Stanford scored the first 3 points of this match. Louisville a little nervous at the beginning. This is their second straight top 5 showdown on a Sunday, but found their footing, Emily Eman. What has Louisville done well here to eventually go back on top by 3? Right now the lead's 1.
Despite missing a few serves, Louisville's really putting in the service pressure, knocking out Stanford out of system, and it's showing.
That's off the mark and a point for Louisville. Both teams winning their ACC openers on Friday night. Louisville close to campus at L&N Arena over Cal, and Stanford their first ever ACC conference match at Notre Dame. They won in 4 sets. Set back for Reese Robbins, a good swing by Robbins, and Louisville is back on top by 3.
Louisville's transition defense looks really good tonight so far. The Littles in the backcourt are doing a phenomenal job getting the setters in system, and that's a one-on-one block up front for the right side to put down.
Elena Scott serves for Louisville. Setting to the middle and a quick attack by freshman Lizzie Andrew, who's averaging 1.5 kills a set at 7 against Notre Dame. It hit 545 in that 4-set win.
Andrew's been really impressive so far this season. It's so difficult to come in to a power conference, one of the top teams in the nation, as a freshman middle. She's lived up to expectations.
Ogilvy with the serve. Glock sets the middle. Louisville trying to get those middles involved, and they do with Hannah Sherman on the attack, which gets us to immediate timeout. If you're watching us on ESPN News, flip on over to ESPN. We'll be there with you the rest of the way. Early going, top 5 matchup in Louisville. Cardinals by 3. Not only are these top 5 teams in the most recent AVCA national poll, these are 2 of the top teams in contention for a national championship. Of course, Stanford, 9 NCAA titles, the most all time, but in recent history, the Louisville Cardinals knocking on the door. They've been to the national semifinals 2 of the last 3 seasons, made it to the championship match back in 2022, where they fell to Texas, ending 13-game winning streak. And once again, we were spoiled during non-conference play, Emily, with time and again another top 25 matchup. Now we get another top 5 matchup now in conference play in the ACC.
And this is why college volleyball is so fun, because no other conference, any other sport, is playing that amount of top-level matches this early on.
Here's Cabello setting it back for the right side, Maldonado Diaz. So for Louisville, if you've been following their story, or it's worth a refresher, you will see 2 setters today, Ellie Glock and Nayalise Cabello. Cabello setting up Maldonado Diaz beautifully for that kill, and Louisville's on top by 4.
And the 6-2 has been critical for this Louisville team that feels like they have the weapons to run it this year, meaning they have 6 hitters who will come through in those 2 setters. All those hitters go in the front line. 2 outsides, 2 middles, and 2 right sides.
Cabello goes to Looper. Stanford ready defensively. Here's Rubin, dug out by DeBeer. Maldonado Diaz trucks it in. It's up. Great job by Ogilvy. Maldonado Diaz, another one that's kept up. Good defense by Stanford. And Scott can't get there. It will drop in. Now, will Danny Busboom-Kelly go to the challenge card? I think she will. I think she thought that was down on that play by Ogilvy.
So Ogilvy, the libero for Stanford, coming in with their hand on the ground, calling that a pancake.
The original call is point Stanford. Louisville is challenging that the ball was down.
Now, oftentimes you'll see challenges on these plays with the hand sliding under, but if any part of the ball touches the ground, then it's down, and Louisville sure seem to think so.
Danny Busboom-Kelly had a successful challenge earlier in this first set. You heard from Dwayne Holden, and this is what he's looking at right now.
That's down. Ogilvy came flying out of the backcourt.
And I know, I could just hear in your voice, as a former libero, could just hear in your voice, you expected that one to be up. This is nirvana for you, the former libero, because you see two of the very best in the country going head-to-head here today.
This is one of the best. With Elena Scott going up against Elena Ogilvy, two of the best in the entire country, both defensively and in terms of passing, really leading their teams, and two veterans as well.
You say Elena, I say libero, you say libero. I think we can all agree they're pretty good playing that position. Taking a long look here because it looks like it makes it, and once again, I should just defer to you. Any part of the ball hits the court, it's down.
Yeah, definitely part of it's touching your hand, but it does look like the front of that ball more toward the net side is definitely touching the ground, at least from the looks that we're seeing.
Now, the question is there enough to overturn?
After review, the call is reversed. The ball was down. Louisville retains the challenge.
So Louisville 2 for 2 on challenges here in the first set. Danny Busboom-Kelly loves hitting 1,000. You can just tell she's thrilled.
Big smiles.
You talked about the 6-2, the two setters for Louisville. How do those two setters differ? You've watched a ton of film, ton of tape. What are the differences between Glock and Cabello, and how do their hitters adjust to those differences?
The biggest difference between the two is Glock is a little more experienced, so she has more time. Her ball location and tempo is a little bit more consistent as Stanford puts that one down. Cabello, on the other hand, just a freshman coming in, still working on that consistency, but she is so good on the move. So anytime the ball is off the net, she does a really good job getting her feet there and her hands on it.
Keep an eye on that as we go along here today as Stanford sets with Harvey. Cabello tries again. Another one denied by Stanford. Ooh, DeBeer, that's going to hurt. DeBeer went down hard. Her teammate, Cabello, fell right on top of her. Out of the scramble, Cabello got the dig. Looked like it was a 6-on-4 for a moment there for Stanford, but Louisville still in the point, and they can't win the point. That would have been an all-timer for Louisville. Now the question is, DeBeer okay?
How about Cabello coming in on that dig, knowing she had to take up more space? Usually you see two players going for the ball. Cabello just jumps right over her.
On top of her.
Yeah.
More than over.
She's trying to check on her teammate, but she's like, hey, I got to go make this play.
It was 2 years ago when Louisville played at Stanford that Anna DeBeer suffered a knee injury. She actually finished the match against Stanford. That's how tough she is, but she ended up missing 12 games with that knee problem. Battled back towards the end of the year, and then by the time NCAA tournament got here to Louisville at the KFC Yum Center, she had 17 kills against Oregon, 6 in the 5th set in that showdown. The question here is that right arm, that was right in front of us. So right arm was out. You want to make sure her head didn't make contact with the Terraplex. Seems to be okay. Service error for Stanford.
If there's one thing to know about Anna DeBeer, she is one of the toughest players in the country. She plays with so much grit. I think you'd have to remove her arm before she steps off the court.
She's a Louisville kid.
Yeah.
Okay, she's not leaving the court in Louisville. She didn't leave the court in Palo Alto 2 years ago. Looper serves. Cabello tried to get there, could not. If you weren't with us earlier, Kevin Hambley was trying to be a little diplomatic when we talked to him last night about the block defense for Stanford. I believe the word was atrocious that he used referring to it early in the season, but it's getting better, isn't it?
That's the most improved area of Stanford's game right now, is that front court defense. They're doing a much better job of reading, watching the play unfold, and not necessarily racking up stuff, but getting a ton of positive touches.
That one won't come back into play. It's out of play, and that's a point for Louisville up by 4 here. It's getting late in set number 1.
Despite the slower start in the Cardinals' side, Louisville's done a much better job finding rhythm in that offense.
Camden Tran comes on to serve. Off hands, Cabello puts it up. Tran sets it, Maldonado Diaz. Minor worked it back to Kirk for the kill.
Stanford's transition offense, meaning within rallies, doing a really nice job because they have one of the best setters in the game in Cami Minor, a senior and a leader for this team. Watch the set. It's still pushed with tempo, even though it's a quick bang-bang play.
Two-time Pac-12 setter of the year. That one missed from Taylor Yu by a wide margin. The freshman who had 5 aces against Notre Dame. Good aggressive serve. Another thing we talked about right from the top here, if you were watching Florida, Kentucky. Kevin Hambley does not mind service errors because it's a sign that his team is being aggressive on serves. Now, they piled them up against Notre Dame. They had 18, but ended up with 10 aces in that match. Hurt into the net, point Louisville. And a timeout being called here by Stanford. Cards have settled in here, 4 points away from taking set 1. We'll be back in a moment. December 22nd, second time it's happened here in this building. They also hosted back in 2012. Looks like Anna DeBeer is okay. And they've had a chance to play a handful of matches here in this building, including in front of 14,000 plus last Sunday in that win for Nebraska. You know, Louisville wanted a little reset, retribution, just a do-over on that match. And now the timeout, it's an ace for Louisville.
Louisville has certainly cleaned it up since that match from last Sunday. We saw so many attack errors, 25 nearly handing the Huskers an entire set, and attack errors much cleaner tonight.
Second ace for the Cards. Another good serve. And the block. Robbins put it down.
Big smiles from Buzz Boom Kelly. This is what a 6'2" provides you. It is a massive block up front all the time when both your right sides are big. Reese Robbins, 6'5", shutting it down.
Louisville in total control at the moment. Good dig. Looper tries to scoot out of the way. DeBeer rolls it in. And it's set point.
There are not a lot of players gutsy enough to make a swing like this. Barely gets her feet there, takes a hard rip at it, but of course, Anna DeBeer is going to take a swing off of that.
That's off the net and out of play. Point Louisville. So it was a little bit of a slow start, but how about the finish for the 5th-ranked Cardinals? They roll to a 25-16 win in set 1 in the best of 3. So a much different feel for the hosts compared to 1 week ago when they were swept by Nebraska. All Louisville in set 1. Set 2 coming up here from Louisville. Back here in Louisville, the remnants of Helene have moved on, thankfully. They canceled school here on Friday, actually, because of all the rain, and this part of the state made out pretty well compared to some of the other parts. A lot of power outages, certainly to the east of us. As we take a look at the first set summary, Louisville won by 9. Going away in that first set, errors piled up for Stanford in set 1.
Stanford having 6 service errors and 6 attacking errors, so nearly handing Louisville a half of the set there with 12 points. Stanford has to clean it up on their side, mostly on the attack front.
So these two teams in this top 5 showdown, big showdowns certainly have been the norm since August 27th. That was opening night here at the KFC Yum Center, the APCA First Serve Showcase. Louisville was part of that, and they took on Wisconsin in that opening match and won in 4 sets. That set the tone and really got things going for some memorable results for ACC teams in non-conference plays.
ACC teams starting off the year with massive wins, Louisville and Stanford over Wisconsin, and then SMU, to some, came out of nowhere, taking down Nebraska in straight sets. That really defined SMU's start to the season as a really, really tough team. Then we saw Stanford sweep Texas and Pitt take down Penn State in 3 sets. Massive wins across the board for a ton of ACC teams, top to bottom.
Also, Stanford's final non-conference game was against Kentucky, 11th ranked team. They won in 4. Ruben had 21 kills in that match. As I said, 7th top 25 matchup for Louisville, 7th top 25 matchup for Stanford. By the way, Pittsburgh won again. They did not drop a set, so they still have not dropped a set in 2024.
And they're still not human. With the talent that Pitt has on that roster, I'm going to be surprised if they start dropping sets because they are just rolling through people right now. That last set score against Georgia Tech, 25-8. And that's a really good Georgia Tech team.
Wasn't close. Set 1, 25-11, 25-17 in set 2, and as Emily mentioned, 25-8 in set 3 in Atlanta. By the way, Olivia Babcock with 12 kills, hit 478 in the win for the #1 team in the country, who of course will be #1 in the country next week. Set 2 is underway, and the first point goes to Stanford as Ogilvy heads back to serve for the Cardinal. Stanford hit 0-62 in that first set. Looper gets that one to drop in. She's got 4 kills.
Looper's a very shoddy player, meaning she throws in a lot of tips and roll shots right to the middle of the court. That's a big defensive focus for Stanford tonight, is can they pick up those shots in the middle?
It's interesting. Danny Busboom Kelly mentioned about Charity Looper heading into this season that she's much more aggressive. Last year it seemed exclusively, for the most part, tips or rolls, but she's been getting some good rips. So you get vertical like that, if you're looking down at the net, you're going to get some good velocity on your shot. Looper with a team-high 4 kills. Cards have not been clean from the service line. That's their 5th service error.
Back-to-back to start off this second set, that has to be a focus of getting that ball in.
They were good against Cal on Friday night, 11 aces, just 6 service errors. Looper calls for it. Where will Minor go? She'll go to Francis for the point.
Stanford trying to work that right side of the court, whether it's the right side, Jordan Harvey, who's now in the backcourt, or Francis on the slide attack, meaning behind the setter. Stanford wants to get this right side going against worse blockers as Louisville's outside are.
Robbins off the block, Louisville point.
Reese Robbins, 3 kills on 6 swings so far, hitting 500. Stanford has to find a way to slow her down. She's got a heavy arm and going off the block every time.
Robbins was a standout in Louisville's win over Kentucky earlier this season. Hit 556, had a career-high 11 kills. She'll sub out as Cabello comes on to serve. Rubin. Cabello to Looper. Was not touched. Point Stanford.
Looper doing all she can to try to keep that ball in bounds, but on the run, Cabello needs to get that a little bit tighter to the net so Looper can get on top of it.
Looper trying to find her game a little bit. The last 3 non-conference matches, she had 20 attack errors. The first 7 matches of the season, she had a total of 10. There's the block. Francis at the net with Minor.
Stanford's 3rd block already of this match. Both middles doing a really nice job moving side to side, and a massive read from Francis, diving those hands back into the seam.
Francis had a team-high 9 blocks in the win against Notre Dame on Friday night. Maldonado Diaz, no touch, point Stanford.
Louisville needs to do a better job hitting out of system, meaning when someone else other than the setter is taking the ball, or if the setter is taking it really far off of the net, they have to do a better job of putting their hitters in a situation where they can get a good attack on it.
3-0 run for the Cardinal. Another good serve from Rubin. Miscommunication, but Louisville keeps the point going, at least for the moment. Minor joust at the net, won by the strength of Cami Minor.
And people don't beat Cami Minor on joust too often. She is so strong as a setter up front, and if she's going to go up on a joust, she's going to try to put you on your butt.
So a good start here in set 2 for Stanford, forcing a Louisville timeout. Cardinal on top of the Cardinals by 5. As he works, I'll tell you that the WNBA playoffs continue tonight on ESPN and the ESPN app. Connecticut and Minnesota, game 1 of their best-of-5 semifinal series coming up tonight, 8 Eastern on ESPN. Coverage starts with WNBA Countdown. There you see Sammy Francis. This is a young Stanford team up front. She's the veteran up front. How important is she to Stanford's success this year?
Francis is massive, and she has the ability to potentially be a first or second team All-American based on how she's playing right now. About 1.3 blocks per set, hitting over 400. She's been big.
Out of the Louisville timeout, they end the 4-0 run for Stanford with a kill, and Looper will head back to serve.
Looper going back to that power does such a nice job. When she can get on top of the ball, she can thump it right down to the middle. Stanford's actually moving their middle back up to try to take away that shot and dig it.
Looper has 5 of the 14 Louisville kills as we play here in set 2. Kurt drops it down. One of those young players up front gets her 3rd kill.
Coach Kevin Hamley has talked about how the game is really slowing down for her. She didn't play last season as she redshirted, but now that she's been on the court for about 10, 11 matches or so, she's really finding a rhythm.
Oh, nice. Taylor Hughes got a sneaky serve. That one just jumped up on the libero for Louisville, Elena Scott. That is the 6th ace of the road trip for Taylor Hughes. At the net, Sherman puts it down.
Really good court awareness up front from Hannah Sherman, identifying the overpass early on and not doing too much with it, just going up with strong hands to put it right down.
That gives Sherman 18 kills this season. She had a grand total of 16 kills in all of 2023. So in this match, she's surpassed last year's total. Give you an idea of the time she's seeing add up. Oh, at the net, that's Miner again winning the battle for Stanford.
Miner's taking complete control up front. Louisville has to identify when she's front court, getting someone on that play, and then her blocking. 6 foot tall, but does such a nice job getting her hands over. Really physical presence.
Overall, Stanford being outblocked on the season by their opponents, but today they're a +2 in that category. 4 blocks for Stanford, 2 for Louisville.
That's against a really good blocking team in Louisville.
Ogilvy's going to get there. Rubin just didn't have enough to get it over. Good hustle by the Cardinal, but it's a point for Louisville. So Ellie Glock will come on and serve for Louisville. Just going to hold on for a second here just to make sure things are dried up back where those Stanford players went down. Also gives Kevin Hambley a chance to talk things over with Elia Rubin. Ready for the Glock serve. That drops in, point for Stanford. Swing by Jordan Harvey on the left side.
Really impressive swing from Harvey, who normally lines up on the right side. This time swinging from the left, but still manages to hit a really sharp angle. Turning that right thumb down allows that sharp angle to get hit.
3rd meeting all time between Stanford and Louisville. Last season it was a reverse sweep for Stanford. Stanford was ranked 5th at the time. Louisville 2nd. Katie Baird led the way in that match with 23 kills. We talked about that young front line. Well, it's because no longer do you hear the names Katie Baird and McKenna Bacini and Kendall Kemp fixtures up front for Stanford. Well, that's off the fingertips and it drops down. So another point for Jordan Harvey. That's 3 kills for her.
Getting it done in different ways, too. We saw the power she used in that first swing. This time, going to that tip right over the block, identifying the off blocker. The Louisville side not ready to play it.
Stanford by 7 as Kurt serves. DeBeer, Miner with the dig. To the middle and Cressy. Scott ready for it. Back row attack. That's it.
Incredible defensive plays all around, especially on Louisville's side. Elena Scott in the right position all the time to make these plays to allow her setter to go in and set up this good offense.
Looper leading all players with 6 kills. Go along with 4 digs, hitting 267. As a team, Louisville hitting 174. That's a low number for the Cards. Down by 6 here in set 2. Oh, what a rip by Looper from the left side, her familiar spot. And she's heating up here in set 2.
Stanford can't let Looper heat up, because when you got a player swinging like this with so much confidence, it could be potentially game over, and she could absolutely take over this match.
Reminder to Rubin, trying to get her going after a good start. Ogilvy, that's tight to the net, backhanded over by Rubin. Now back row attack from DeBeer, rolled over, and then that was touched. Point Stanford.
Broken play. Lizzie Andrew, the freshman middle, tries to push it off the block and out. Doesn't catch hands.
Danny Busboom Kelly has the challenge card in her hand, but it's kind of hidden down low. It's not been raised yet. Oh, there was a challenge. I don't know if her whole heart was into it, but she's 2 for 2 on challenges here today.
Yeah, I mean, based on that first look, just watching it live, it didn't look like it caught hands out of bounds. Initially ruled a touch.
The original call is that there was a touch. Louisville is challenging that there wasn't.
So in the ACC, Dwayne Holden will go over and he will review these plays that you're seeing.
Normally you're looking for a finger bent backwards or change of direction on the ball. A little bit tough to tell from that angle whether it goes off the further blocker of Robbins. Definitely hits the net on the way out. It doesn't look like it touched Robbins. You don't see a finger bent back unless it's before she pushes it over.
It certainly hits the tape.
Definitely hits the tape.
And it changes direction there, but does it catch that right pinky of Robbins is what they're looking at. Now another angle. This is called maxing out our camera angles because this is the ref camera.
After review, the ball was out, no touch, point Louisville.
Danny Busboom Kelly is 3 for 3 on challenges today.
Batting 1,000. Okay, coach.
Are they racing at Churchill Downs today? Because she should head on over there and place a winning bet, because we know whatever she bets on, it's going to be a winner right now. Saw a couple of critical challenges in the match before ours between Kentucky and Florida. Successful challenges by Craig Skinner to help Kentucky in set 4. They eventually won set 4, 30-28, to knock off Florida and Gainesville by 4. Louisville fighting back here. It's a 4-0 run for the Cards here in the second set.
Really smart decision from Glock, the setter, knowing who the hot hand is. If Charity Looper is going to go up and swing on balls like that, she's got to keep feeding her. It's a feast up front.
Looper up to 8 kills, hitting .353. So Stanford takes a timeout here. They were up 12-5, but that lead is now down to 3. With Louisville up a set here in the best of 5. We mentioned that it was the 3rd meeting all time between these two programs. Last year, the reverse sweep for Stanford. 2 years ago, Louisville won at Maples. We talked about that earlier, a match where Anna DeBeer was injured, finished out the match, but then missed 12 matches after that. Right now they meet here at the KFC Yum Center as ACC foes for the first time. It is the first of 2 meetings this year. Stanford will host Louisville on November 30th to close out the regular season. Great crowd turning out again here at the KFC Yum Center for this top 5 showdown between Louisville and Stanford. While they look things over, I can tell you that coming up tomorrow night, once again, 2 Monday Night Football games. It starts with Tennessee and Miami. That's at 7:15 Eastern Time on ESPN and also on ESPN Deportes. And then Seattle and Detroit kick off at 8 o'clock Eastern Time on ABC, and that's also on ESPN+. It is something that's been talked about in the preseason, non-conference schedule, and now that it's finally here, Stanford and Cal and SMU in the ACC.
It's a completely new look, and Stanford was so excited to join this conference because of the level of competition. Kevin Hamley knows that it's going to help them later down the line in the NCAA tournament when they are playing the best of the best night in and night out.
Oh, the block for Louisville. Looper and Cressy team up at the net, and it's all Cardinals right now, a 5-0 run.
Louisville doing a nice job up front. Kara Cressy reading this beautifully, explosive play and working with her outside attacker. Those hands so far pressed.
Great job by Stanford. Started with a great pass, and then it ends with a great kill by Rubin.
When you have a good pass, that allows the offense to be run with really nice tempo. Watch how fast this is coming out of the setter's hands and pushed all the way out to the line so Rubin can smack it.
Rubin with her 4th kill, first of this set. Looper stays hot.
Looper looks like she's jumping higher and higher every time she's going up to attack. The ability for her to get up on top of this ball is so impressive. This is an attacker that stands at 5'9", but man, she jumps through the gym.
She was hitting .352 before the Creighton match, dropped down to .261 heading into this match, but how about her numbers today? .389 for Charity Looper, looking for more and getting more.
What's making Looper so tough to stop is she's changing up where she's attacking this ball. We've seen her rip that cross-court or smash it right into the middle. This time, going right down the line, Stanford's defense doesn't know where to go.
To Looper. Who else? And what else would you expect right now?
Charity Looper is unstoppable today so far. Getting it done in different ways, being very rangy on attack, hitting all shots in the book. Stanford's got to have an answer.
And now the block for Louisville. Cardinals continue to roll.
Reese Robbins doing such a nice job. One-on-one, knows she has to dive those hands back in, and Louisville, they've got all the momentum right now.
Stanford led 12-5. Now Louisville's on top, 14-13. Minor. Off hands, the swing by Harvey. Looper. She now has 9 kills in this set. Stanford takes their second and final timeout of the set. Stanford was in control until Looper wrestled control away from the Cardinal to dominate here in set 2.
Looper completely took control during this set. In the front court, in the back court, it didn't matter where she was. The setters made sure to get the ball in her hand. And when a player's feeling themselves like that, when you feel so much confidence and you're getting fed the ball, it only gets worse for the opponent because you start getting into rhythm and you can put balls down. It's tough.
So Louisville in this set hitting .333. Stanford's hitting .143, and Stanford now at .094 for the match. Stanford's strength is their attack, hitting .286 on the season heading in, but that Louisville defense has been stout at the net.
Louisville's defense has really turned up. Not only do they have 2 stuffs, 2 blocks this set, but they're finding ways to get good touches off the block so that backcourt can transition that into some good offense. And even if they are out of system, Looper's doing a phenomenal job cleaning things up. I think the out of system setting for the Cardinals as well has improved a lot, keeping Looper tighter so she can get on top of it and go down.
Charity Looper already with 12 kills. And you talk about efficiency in this set, how dominant someone could be. You look up dominant in the volleyball dictionary, Charity Looper's picture is going to be next to that word.
Her name is right there. 9 kills on 12 swings in set 2, hitting nearly 500 in this match. And when you talk about balance too, I mean, she has double the attempts of the next attacker. And sometimes you might look at that and say, hey, that's not good enough. But for a player that's going off like this, you're completely okay with those kind of numbers.
How does Stanford answer? You know that's where Louisville wants to go. How do you come up with an answer to Charity Looper right now?
I think you block her line and block her seam and feed everything to WVB and left back because she's your best defender.
Out of the timeout, Stanford needing a point. That ends the 5-0 run for Louisville as Harvey on the attack has her 4th kill.
Really good answer from Stanford, nailing this pass. That allows the one-on-one on the right side for Harvey to rip through.
Looper. Off hands. Minor will go back to Francis. That's in, and Stanford's got back-to-back points.
Stanford turning things around, doing a really nice job passing, and here in transition, defending, get the ball all the way up at the net, and Minor's running a beautiful offense with Francis behind.
Jordan Harvey, risk reward on her serve, no question about it. Came into this match 21 aces, number 1 on the team. 35 service errors, number 1 on the team.
And she's got kind of that ace or miss mentality. She's going to get after it back there every time, and Kevin Hamley's okay with that. He said, we're good because she's knocking opponents out of system at such a high clip.
Nialise Cabello back to serve for Louisville. Cards up by 1, up a set. Minor works it back to Francis again. Looper off the line. Oh, that's going to fall in. Little miscommunication for Louisville, and Stanford is tied at 16.
Those are plays that normally either DeVere or Scott make routinely. 2 players have been playing next to each other for so long. The slight hesitation, watch them both look at each other and the ball falls. Those are things you cannot have on your side, especially when you've been playing together for so many years. Rubin
serves it to Scott. Looper now on the right side, and the block there. Francis and Kurt, the tandem.
Felt a little extra celebration on that one. Finally able to stop Looper. She's human. Crazy to think. Francis did a nice job shutting that one down.
They're fired up. You saw Kevin Hamley, the head coach, in the background. He was pumped up. Now a service error for Stanford. That's number 8.
Now, even though Charity Looper goes to the back row to serve, watch them get her going out of that pipe attack in the middle.
Minor. Francis dug out by Looper. DeVere rolls it over. Minor for Kurtz. They weren't in sync. Louisville's got a chance here with DeVere. Kurt off the line. Great dig by Minor to keep it up. Set back for the attack. Not much on it from Maldonado Diaz. Kurt off hands. Kurt will try another swing. There's Looper laying out. Minor comes back for Francis. Good up. Good hustle by Pringle. Then off hands and drops in. Great point. Won by Stanford.
Those long rallies are where you can gain momentum for your team. All of a sudden, Stanford is back in this after Louisville took the lead. Great defense on both sides. Just good up after good up with the outsides able to barrel it through the block. Nice finish from Kurt.
Stanford on top by 1. Here is the freshman, Yu, on to serve. Looking DeVere's way, but Scott got there. DeVere on the swing. Hustling over, getting there in time is Bevan. Big swing from the right side. Maldonado Diaz, who has experience facing Stanford. She was a standout for 4 years at Arizona in the Pac-12.
Done a really nice job so far for this Louisville team, being a good option they can go to in system or out of system. She finds ways to put the ball down.
Stanford has used both their timeouts here in set 2. Louisville with 1 timeout remaining, tied at 18. Overpass, kept alive by the shoulder of Andrew. Well, that is a gift for Stanford. They'll take it to go on top, 19-18.
You got to defend with whatever you got. Might be a head, might be a foot, whatever you can do to keep that ball alive.
Everything's in play. Cami Minor will head back to serve for the Cardinal. DeBeer, big time rip by Anna DeBeer, kill number 4.
Good answer from Louisville to side out when they needed it. Nailed that pass. That allowed DeBeer to get going in system, resulting in a one-on-one and a big seam in the block for her to rip through.
And his family, of course, on hand here today. And a standout at Assumption here in Louisville. Coming here for her memorable Cardinals career. That's a service error for Louisville. So Stanford, the first team to 20 here in set 2.
From here on out in the red zone of volleyball, meaning from point 20 on, it becomes so important to limit your errors. Normally, who wins that set is the team that makes the least amount of them.
Blocked out of play, point for Louisville. DeBeer and serve receive. Made the pass and then got the kill. She'll head back to serve.
And that brings Charity Looper up front, Louisville's best weapon so far. Expect her to get a lot of sets to close out this one.
Looper with 9 kills here in set 2. Minor tries to go to the middle. That's down. Point for Andrew and Stanford. 4 points away from evening this match.
Big answer from the freshman middle blocker, now checking out Francis up front. Really good offensive weapon for Stanford.
Ogilvy to serve. Block, looking for Looper. Pressing, big time. Great defense for Louisville.
Louisville could not have read that play better. The ball set way inside. Robbins made the adjustment, came in on it to get her middle involved for a massive shutdown.
5 team blocks now for Louisville, 6 for Stanford. And a service error for Cardinals. Getting late right now, and as Emily just mentioned, you've got to avoid these errors at this time. There's a time to be aggressive, but got to get those serves in now, with Stanford now 3 points away. Speaking of aggressive serves, here's Harvey.
Those are the plays that Kevin Hanley talked about. He's okay with Harvey missing, but in these big situations, when you're going up against a top 5 team, that's a serve that has to be in. It does not have to be your all-out serve.
Cameo to serve for Louisville, tied at 22. Minor has to go a long way, feeds it to Rubin. Looper, dug out by Ogilvy. Rubin off hands. Cabello sets it back. Maldonado Diaz. At the net, it's Looper.
Looper taking control of the net. This ball overpass, she is locked and ready for these overpasses to go up and absolutely slam it. Fantastic finish on the outside.
10 kills in this set for Charity Looper. Good serve. Minor for Francis, and the block is there. Charity Looper!
With a little bit of flair, are you kidding me?
If you didn't know how hot she was, she'd let you know after this block.
I mean, girl can get up and check out that reaction. Come on.
Charity Looper's world, we're just living in it. We've got a front row seat for it right now. It is set points for Louisville. Francis off balance, and Scott almost kept it up. Set point number 2 for Louisville. Good serve by Rubin, looking for the attack, and that's down. Point Louisville, set Louisville. 10 kills for Charity Looper in that second set. And the Cards are up 2-0. Maldonado Diaz with the kill.
Maldonado Diaz found a way to get it done, but man, that set was all Charity Looper going off for the Louisville Cardinals.
Stanford head coach Kevin Hambley, nice enough to join us. What's the number one thing you want to tell your team heading into this intermission, or that needs to change heading into set 3?
Well, we didn't attack them very well. We gave them 10 points in the first set, and we didn't attack them and gave them a lot of points. And then I thought here at the beginning we were being aggressive and attacking the court and playing high and smart. And then about halfway through, they started to pick it up, and we didn't match that. And so we got to do a better job of blocking. I heard you talk about Looper. She's just tearing us up down the line. Jordan's got to do a better job if that's going to be the same matchup, managing her a little bit, because she kind of got loose down the line on her, which is something we wanted to take away. But more importantly, I think it's just like our fight and like continuing to attack them and just put pressure on them. We didn't put much pressure here, and we didn't put with our passing. We didn't put much pressure on the serve, and it got better. But we need to elevate that in this place if we're going to turn this around.
Serving wise, what's the biggest adjustment you want to see from your team?
Just keep it flat, hit it hard. Like we were sailing balls and hitting them kind of easy. Like different than our errors were different than what they normally were. Nice, easy lobs that were going out of bounds. Like we want to hit it hard and flat, and if we miss some of those, that's fine. But when they were in, they were just diamond and then we were in trouble.
Kevin, thanks for coming over. Talk
to
to us. Kevin Hambley, the Stanford head coach. Not the most perfect situation, but he laid out exactly what we should look for here for his Stanford team. We got a little intermission here, 5-minute intermission in the ACC, as we step aside for just a moment here from Louisville with the Cardinals on top of the Cardinal, 2-0. Stanford and Louisville, top 5 showdown. Louisville winning the first 2 sets, 25-23 in set number 2. Charity Looper going off with 10 kills in that second set. She hit 500 in that set. Just one attack here for Charity Looper. So 10 of her 13 kills in set number 2 as Louisville's on top, 2-0. Danny Busboom Kelly, nice enough to join us right now. You're trailing 12-5 in that second set. What turned for your team at that point?
And luckily I felt like we played with a little more belief than we have in the past, and then we got Charity going, she got hot, and we just kept riding her, and so that was awesome to see us pull out of that little funk.
Charity Looper had 10 kills in just that set alone. What impressed you most about her play?
I thought she was going for it, and she was driving hard, and she was using the whole court, and that's what we've been challenging our outside hitters to do, is use the whole court, and she did a great job.
3 for 3 on challenges. I said you should go over to Churchill Downs if there's a race going on there.
I think there is, so maybe I'll hit that.
Perfect. Thanks, Danny. Appreciate it. Thank you. So there is Charity Looper, and something that Danny said earlier this week about this team, when DeBeer and Looper are both going at the same time, this Louisville team can be pretty unstoppable. Her turn. And Anna DeBeer's been fine here today. 5 kills, 15 swings, hitting 200, but Looper has been dominant so far as we take you through just what she did in that second set with those 10 kills.
Charity Looper was absolutely outstanding, not just getting it done in the front court, but in the back as well. Like Danny Busboom Kelly said, she's mixing up her shots well, hitting with a ton of range, and she's got a little bit of finesse and sass to her as well. You'll love to see it.
So Looper with those 10 kills, 1 attack error on 18 swings. She hit 200 in the first set, 500 in the second set. She has 13 kills to lead all players. Meanwhile, for Stanford, no one with more than 4 kills. Harvey, Ruben, Kurt, and Francis, each with 4 kills. They're hitting 125 for the match. That is well below what their season average is at 286.
Normally you'll see Elia Rubin, those kill numbers up just a little bit more, holding to 0.37, not the efficiency that they want from their go-to attacker. Normally for the Stanford team, though, they're very balanced. Kami Miner does a great job involving every single person in the offense. They need a little bit more production, though, from their outside, so we're getting a majority of the sets.
I want to go back to what Kevin Handley told us when he came over right at the end of set number 2, and some of the things that he's looking for and talking to his team about. So what are a couple of the things that need to happen here for Stanford in this third set if they're going to turn things around here on the road?
Stanford has to find a way to shut down that outside attack. Of course, that comes from Charity Looper. And if that's not an option, they just need to slow down everyone else. That's going to be a key. When you have a player like Looper who's absolutely going off, it's important to just manage everyone else. The next thing for Stanford, they have to find a way to keep those serves in. I understand keeping that pressure is really important, but when you're handing teams points and it's really close at the end, that becomes a difference.
Stanford serves to start the set, and the attack from the middle, and the point for Louisville.
One other thing Stanford needs to do well is bounce back really quick. They know Louisville's going to get these crazy, nasty shots and blocks and all the above. They have to be able to bounce back and have a 10-second memory.
Great job by Miner to keep it up for Stanford. And that one's going to sail long off of the attack by Ruben. Ruben got off to a good start. Remember, Stanford was playing with a lot of confidence on top of their toes, but Ruben's quieted down since then. Just 4 kills for her, 4 attack errors and 28 swings.
She's taken a lot of out-of-system swings, meaning in tough situations when the setter is off of the net, it's more difficult to put a ball down because you almost always have 2 big blockers in front of you. So she's been put in some tough situations as well.
Good serve by Scott. Miner sets it for Ruben. The block kept up. That's kept up by Scott. To Beer from the back row. Ruben. Got to be impressed with both teams, and you've talked about it quite often. Right now, Louisville continues to have answers at the net, but that time off the block and out of play. Point for Stanford.
Stanford is asking Elia Rubin to do a lot on the outside. During that rally alone, multiple swings, trying to just recycle the ball back into the block and then getting another one. That's something you have to do as an outside attacker. You have to have the stamina to last these long points because you're getting a lot of the sets.
Ruben with a match-high 33 swings. Here's Kurt, rolls it over. Looper everywhere on this court right now. Robbins wants that one back. Point Stanford.
Eric, to your point on Ruben, too, having those 33 swings, for context, the next closest is 13. So she's nearly tripling up the next person in terms of attempts. She's getting way too many swings. Stanford has to find a little bit more balance.
Great point. Kurt and Francis each with 13 swings, and Harvey with 12 swings. Service error for Ruben. Louisville back in front.
Those are the errors that you're not okay with, the ones right in the bottom of the net. You're more okay with the ones that go out, the ones that miss just long or wide. The ones that go in the net, though, that's a lack of focus.
Louisville closed out the first set with a 6-0 run. They fell behind by 7 in set 2, closed strong in that set to win at 25-23, and up by 1 here early in set 3. Looper blocked out of play. Point, Louisville.
Really high IQ play up front from Charity Looper. Even though she has a big blocker in front of her, watch her look at the block and send it right off of it for the tool shot.
Looper into double-digit kills for a 6th time this season. She's got 14 in this match, her season high. In the 5-set win against Quick. She had 17. She was great in that match. She had 4 kills in that 5th set in that Louisville win. Francis. Scott got there. Looper off the net. And violation's going to be called on Stanford, so the point goes to Louisville.
Stanford getting a little bit too aggressive up front on this block, just coming right down on the net. If any part of you, aside from her hair, touches it, it's a fault.
Kevin Hambley looking for some of that pushback from his team, but he hasn't seen it so far here in the third set. Down by 3. Minor for Francis. Dug out by Cabello. Maldonado Diaz. Minor blocked wide. Point Stanford.
That's a gutsy swing, even with the double block in front of you, trying to go right inside of it. Got a little bit lucky because it wasn't well formed on Louisville's side. That shot needs to go a little bit higher.
Here's you. Sherman kept it alive. Minor for Kurt. Sent back by Louisville. Maldonado Diaz, dug out by Rubin. DeBeer calls for it. Cabello goes left side to Luker for another kill. 16 and counting for Charity Luper.
There is nothing Charity Luper can't do in any situation, in system, out of system, working her butt off to get off the net so she can make swings like that.
Now she'll head back to serve for the Cards. On the back row attack, big rip. Good play by Rubin to get the point for Stanford.
Really smart decision for Minor going to that back row attack, knowing it's likely going to be one-on-one. Louisville stepped in on it, but Rubin goes right back to zone 5 to left back.
Good serve by Katie Minor, targeting DeBeer. Work to the middle, Sherman couldn't get it down. It was sent back by Andrew for Stanford.
Really good read from the freshman middle blocker, Andrew up front, being very disciplined. She doesn't move until she knows exactly where the ball is going and got those hands up fast.
6 points for each team here today. Cabello, Maldonado Diaz. Minor to Andrew in the middle. Here comes Stanford.
All of a sudden, Stanford has a little bit more life. Minor's doing a much better job getting other hitters involved in the play. This time, in the middle, even about 7-8 feet off the net. Really smart decision, knowing it's going to be 1-on-none.
3-0 run here for the Cardinal. DeBeer blocked out of play. Stanford looking over, perhaps saying there was a touch. Kevin Hambley has the challenge card out.
Sometimes it's so tough to tell on those really quick bang-bang plays from the block, too.
The original ruling is Louisville point. Stanford is challenging that the ball was in.
Looking for in out.
Okay, forget it.
By frame. Oh, that looks in.
That definitely looks in, based on that angle.
Yeah, that's going to be a successful challenge, you would think, for Stanford and Kevin Hambley, so it should be a point for Stanford. But we'll see if they take a look at another angle, including this one here. Can you see?
That also looks in.
Yeah, I think you see enough of the ball in the line, even though we're being screened by Harvey. If that was the only angle he had.
After review, the ball was in. Stanford point. Stanford receives the challenge.
So successful challenge for Hambley and the Cardinal. Let's go Cardinal! First ACC road trip for Stanford. They were at Notre Dame on Friday. They will charter home tonight. It's the first of 4 trips to the Eastern Time Zone in ACC play for the Cardinal. I think we're making a bigger deal out of it than Hambley and his team are. We brought it up with him yesterday. He's like, no big deal. Teams together, enjoy each other. That's off hands, and Maldonado Diaz gets the point for Louisville.
Maldonado Diaz flying through the air to try to put it down.
We did some research. Okay, you didn't know you were sitting next to a time zone expert because the 2023 numbers do reflect that Arizona does not recognize daylight savings time. So you can see there are many more trips east. They had one trip to this time zone last year. It was to this building last September.
Designated time zone expert, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just felt like I needed a niche, and that was it.
Someone had to do it.
But there'll be quite a few trips out east in this new look for Stanford playing in the ACC. They're still trying to figure out what's right. Will they stay on the road when they go to SMU and then go up to Pittsburgh for that big showdown coming up in a couple of weeks? There's a lot of things you got to experience once before you know what's right and what's wrong.
Kevin Hamley has talked about, hey, the only thing that joining the ACC means in terms of a level of competition, all that aside, but in terms of travel, it's just 2 more hours on an airplane. It's time that they get to study and all that anyway.
8-8 here in the third set. Curtin. Scott for DeBeer. 6 skill for Anna DeBeer.
DeBeer might not be having the most efficient night offensively, but she's also making up for it in different ways. Doing a nice job defensively. Tide leading the team with 12 digs already. Now it's starting to find that offensive rhythm just a little bit more.
I wonder too, remember earlier in the match when Cabello fell on her arm, she stayed in the match. Maybe there's nothing wrong. I don't think Anna DeBeer would be one who would come out if she could lift her arm over her head. Yeah, that's off Stanford. That's going to be a point for Louisville.
In this rotation for Louisville, Cabello playing in the front court right now. Normally their setter's always in the back row. They still got Maldonado Diaz going on the back row attack, a D-ball, meaning the right back.
That one floats long, and it's a point for Stanford on service error number 8 for the Cardinals. Maldonado Diaz will check out along with Cabello. Ellie Glock comes on. Block. Looks for Cressy, but Stanford there with the block.
How about that read from Elia Rubin? Did such a nice job. Even though Louisville runs a 6-2, they still run slide attacks, so Rubin has to be locked in for that quick attack behind the setter.
8 blocks for Stanford.
Really good blocking night for a team that normally struggles in that category.
Block, looks for DeBeer, hangs in the air. Arm looked fine on that swing. Point, Louisville.
Stunning swing off of an even more stunning set. This ball right up at the net. The setter fakes out. Looks like she's going to the middle, holding the middle blocker one more time. That leaves DeBeer one-on-one.
7 kills now for DeBeer, up to 200 hitting, and she'll head back to serve. That's a tough one for Minor. Free ball here for Louisville, and a violation on Stanford. Double contact.
Here's what's new this year. They got rid of the double contact as long as it stays on your side. But if you send the ball over the net and it has that funky spin on it, that's a fault.
$12-10 for Louisville. Block not there. Cressy recognizes she had to get it for Louisville. Left side, Looper. Rubin, big rip for Elia Rubin, heating up now for Stanford. That's 7 kills for her.
Stanford doing a really nice job keeping these balls off the court. Elena Ogilvy, are you kidding me? Great job just getting that up so the setter can run a good offense. Rubin has to do a lot in that out-of-system play, but she's finding ways to put it down.
And another service error for Stanford. That's number 10 for Hamley's team. Risk reward from the service line for Stanford. Over pass. That's going to make its way over, but out of play. And it's a point for Stanford.
bit chaotic play on Louisville's side. When that happens, if the ball's maybe gone into the net, you just want to get it high so someone can make a play on it.
Block for Looper. We didn't say her name for a minute or two, but I think we're back to saying it now that she's in her familiar spot on the left side.
And this ball even brought inside. They're moving around where Looper's taking these swings from just to try to vary it up a little bit and test out Stanford's defense even more.
Cabello with the serve. Rolls down the tape and out of play. Point Stanford. You saw Looper matching her season high when she had 17 in the 5-setter against Creighton, already with 17 kills, and we're playing in the third set here against the number 3 team in the country.
Inefficient, hitting that so well at 382. Anything really over 300 is insanely impressive for an outside.
That's going to be an ace for Stanford, and we're tied at 14.
There's that risk reward playing out. A player like Taylor Yu going back there, hitting her serve. Now, she's not one that tends to make a lot of errors. She's coming in as a serving specialist, has to do her job well executed.
Cabello, Looper on the right side, sent back by Stanford. So the Cardinals showing some life here in set 3. It was a slow start to this set, but they have pushed back, and Kevin Hambley's team needing to win this set to keep this match going, on top by 1 at the media timeout. Talked to Danny Busman-Kelly about Churchill Downs. The trophy's there. There's a winning bet for her there as well. Back in a moment.
Doors can take us to new adventures and long-term goals. Your dedicated Fidelity advisor can help you open those doors by helping you create a comprehensive wealth plan with the right balance of risk and reward. Doors were meant to be opened.
I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with you.
Are you ready?
Made for the one. Made to tell your love story. Made to last forever. Made to shine. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
It's the greatest time of year, Eddie. We're here. I cannot wait to do our job, to be analysts and break this down, man.
If you're in for a good one, grab your popcorn.
That's a big game. I might have to go down. Shout out to the ACC Huddle.
This is match 2 of our Sunday doubleheader today. Next week, we've got another doubleheader for you on ESPN. Texas and Florida get things started at 1 o'clock Eastern time in Gainesville. Then Baylor and TCU follow at 3 Eastern time. That's 1 o'clock Eastern next Sunday on ESPN. Some of the headlines, we've got the unbeaten teams at the top. It starts with Pitt. They got another sweep today, impressively, at Georgia Tech. And Emily, you were there courtside for Auburn's reverse sweep of Kentucky. I just want to point out to the viewers the lengths you went to get to that match. I believe as you were heading down from Minnesota into Hurricane Helene, did you book a flight on one of those, those Hurricane Hunter planes, those Orions that they go into the eye of the hurricane?
With all the crazies.
Were you on that? Were you on that?
Was
Is that
me.
how you got to Auburn?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It brought them a little bit of good luck, I'd say. It was an incredible match. I mean, Auburn goes down 2-0, looks dead in the water. All of a sudden, storming back, the defense turns on, one of the best in the country. They're able to get the reverse sweep. Kind of an awesome crowd, too. Cool to see for that program.
15 all here in set 3, and it's a lead now for Louisville as DeBeer gets her 8th kill.
As we're trading points late in this third set, Stanford has to win this set to stay alive. Really important for the Cardinal to bounce back quickly.
Back row attack. That goes wide. Looper almost got it. I'm shocked that didn't drop in. Everything else has.
Just add a pass skill to the list, too. Might as well, based on how she's playing.
He's like, that would have filled out my bingo card today. We could all go home. Once again, we're tied. Service error for Minor. That's 11 for Stanford.
As we're trading points back and forth, errors become really important. When you're trading points, sometimes it becomes a question of who can make less errors in this set.
Kendon Trand on the serve for Louisville. That one goes long.
Get a little contagious on both sides.
I think Danny Busboom Kelly's going to press her luck here. 3 for 3 on challenges so far.
That was definitely close.
Everybody's like, Danny, if you get this one right.
We're all going to Churchill
The
Downs.
original call was out. Louisville is challenging that the ball was in.
This was another one that was right in front of Kevin Hambley and the Stanford bench. It's going to be out.
It's out. A little bit of red between the line and the ball.
The original call is confirmed. Louisville loses a challenge.
So Louisville down to 1 challenge remaining until we get to a possible 5th set where they would receive an additional challenge.
It's a quick, efficient challenge as well. Keep the game moving.
So Danny now hitting 750, still a good number. So right now, Stanford has 12 service errors and 2 aces. Now I know aces aren't the be-all, end-all, which tells you how efficient and how aggressive you're being serving, but when you get to a certain point, it's 12-2 for that ratio. That's not good.
And Kevin Hamley has talked about he's okay with the misses that are maybe a little bit long. They found that there's no difference in terms of their point scoring, whether they're making or missing serves, but it comes down to a point where you can't be missing them in the net. At least give the opponent a chance to play it.
Louisville gets hands on it with the block again. Ogilvy. Oh, that's Louisville's defense stepping up again. Cressy and Reese Robbins on the right side.
Cressy and Robbins is not a block that you want to go up against. 6'6" and 6'5", forming an absolute brick wall up front to shut this down.
Timeout called by Stanford as Louisville's up by 2 late here in the 3rd.
Reese Robbins has done such a nice job setting this up, knowing where that ball is, sealing the line, getting the middle involved on the play as well.
So Louisville using their defense, something that's always been a key to their success, averaging 3 blocks a set this season. They had 13 blocks against Cal. They were a +9 in that category. Here in Louisville on Friday night, they have 7 blocks here today. So as the teams talk it over, we can take a peek ahead. And guess what? We've got some great matches coming up. Hawaii and Long Beach State. Late night on Saturday on ESPNU. Texas with an SEC showdown against Florida. Talked about that doubleheader. That's game 1. Match number 2, Baylor and TCU. I want to turn your attention to that Stanford-Pitt match coming up on October 20th as Pittsburgh continues to roll as Stanford gets set to make a trip to the Steel City.
And that's a matchup that could potentially determine the ACC title, and again, potentially determine which teams are hosting through the first 4 rounds up until the championship coming up. Really big ones.
You know what Tuesday is? October 1st. That means it's 2 months to the selection show on December 1st.
Heck yeah.
And we know this time of year, it's fall, we're getting close to the holidays, time speeds up. It does not slow down. So we are going to be at selection show and NCAA tournament time, and then here at the KFC Yum Center for the national semifinals and national championship the week before Christmas.
And
Looking forward to it.
Louisville has a potential chance to play at home the entire tournament long as well.
That's up. Great defense at the net. Great defense in the backcourt. And it turns out to be defense into a point for Louisville.
Defense can't always get you points in the backcourt, but what it does is creates opportunities to go to the next play and keep the pressure on your opponent. Elena Scott is one of the best in the country at that.
Ellie Glock. That That's going to come up well short. Service error number 10 for Louisville.
That one wasn't particularly close. You got to just flush it.
It happens. Ogilvy. Serving DeBeer. Block to DeBeer. Ellie Gluck says, I can make up for that service error by a perfect set to the All-American Anna DeBeer.
DeBeer has heated up as this match has gone on. Her efficiency just skyrocketed in the last set and a half. You think you're okay because Looper's in the backcourt and you got DeBeer up there, but now both outsides firing.
Looper and DeBeer have combined for 26 of the 42 kills for Louisville. Rubin. Looper kept it up, but that's going to head out of play. Scott ran into the scores table. Taylor Bevan back to serve for Stanford. No margin for error right now for the Cardinal. There's the block. Hustling after it, but unable to get there was Pringle. Point Louisville.
Reese Robbins shutting down the outside attack for Stanford so well. She's not only setting it up well, but watch how far she gets her hands over the net. It is a wall up front to get by for Rubin.
Francis denied. Scott gets it up. Looper. That's wide. Point for Stanford. No challenge. No need. Looper knows it was off the mark. Sixth attack error on 37 swings for Charity Looper.
That's just like missing your free throws. You've got to hit those at least in the court. Maybe if they go out of bounds, it's okay, but you cannot send that ball in the bottom of the net as the opponent's up trying to get the sweep.
13 service errors, costly for Stanford in its top 5 showdown as Cabello goes back. 2 points away from the match for Louisville. Tight at the net. And won by Minor. You talked about her strength before. She wins a lot of those battles.
She is so strong, and every time she goes up there, it looks like she's even more determined than the other side. She knows she doesn't get many opportunities to go up and get a block or a kill. That's when she wants to put down.
Good serve from you. Looper had to get her steps right, but she has not had a misstep here today. A new season high, 18 kills for Charity Looper, and fittingly, she'll head back and serve for the match.
What better way? Anytime she's getting the ball, just finding the floor time and time again.
The block is out of play, and Stanford stays alive. Set point number 2 coming for Louisville. Abby Minor trying to keep things going here for the Cardinal. Cabello, DeBeer for the match! What a performance by Louisville. They sweep third-ranked Stanford, taking set 3, 25-22. There was so much disappointment 1 week ago after Nebraska swept Louisville out of this building. This is a sweet feeling to bounce back a week later and do that against the top 5 team.
Not only is this an incredible bounce back, this is a statement win for Louisville. This is a team that is trying to host to the first 4 rounds of the tournament, trying to vie for that ACC title. This now keeps them on top of that, and they are laser focused headed into the rest of ACC play.
Charity Looper with a season high 18 kills and a big smile as Louisville celebrating. Ask her to bring that smile over here with us courtside. We'll chat with her before we come back.